OH. Thank you. Hi, and welcome. I'm John Horak. Since October 1st, I've had the honor of serving as the Vice President for Research here at Ohio State. Otherwise, I'm a 10th year freshman. I haven't gotten here in 2016. Welcome. This is among the most joyful days that we have in the research community. I hope you have many more besides this one, because 1 out of 365 or 366 is not a lot. But this is one where we gather together and can really take pride in the work that we do, celebrate our work as a team and as a community, and be mindful of the outcomes that our research generates. So one of the feelings I have today is abundant amount of gratitude for the opportunity to be a part of this community, and in this case, to steward the community. But I also want to be grateful to the people that have helped set up this day. So for our food service workers and our sound people and our logistics folks, before we start, can we thank you? Much of the reason the world works is because of hard work and anonymity. And when we have hard work, I want to appreciate it. And I don't want you to be anonymous, okay? I want you to be known, and thank you for helping put this day together. So we'll let you go sort out the refreshments. I saw beer and wine and Diet Coke and a few other interesting things, so thanks a bunch for being here. Like I said, very much strong opportunity for us to celebrate. And when Ravi asked me if I wanted to be the Vice President for Research, or I said, well, you know, you're the boss, so if you asked me to say yes, I probably am ill-advised to say anything other than yes, but I need a good reason to say yes. And I'll tell you the reason, that I am just absolutely in love with research. We live in a world that seems very often to be running out of airspeed, altitude, and ideas. Just watch the news, or don't watch the news. And when the world gets to a place where it seems like we're out of airspeed and altitude and ideas, those three quantities get refreshed and replenished, in my opinion, through research, through inquiry, through collaboration, through asking questions, through doing hard things that matter, as President Ravi says, to create a new set of social or economic or educational or quality of life outcomes. And so when we look at the world and we say, it's kind of not a great place and we don't like where we're at, or we need to do better, or we need to move forward, for me, this community and the work that we do is where that rejuvenation comes from. And so that's why maybe even today, as we have lots of challenges and 4 human beings in free fall from 250,000 miles up, having been around the backside of the moon, right? There is hope, there is optimism, and there is a future, and that future is worth building. And that's why it's an honor to be here. And so we're going to celebrate some of those first links in the value chain of prosperity that we ourselves here at Ohio State and our colleagues have created. And we hope that these are lasting. We believe that these are lasting impacts. And we measure them through dollars and research expenditures and things like that. But the impact is what matters. If I had to go to the president and say, look, we're not going to make $2 billion, but let me tell you what we did do. We're not going to have to worry about cancer anymore, but we didn't make $2 billion. Our food supply is 3 times as safe as it used to be, but we didn't make $2 billion. Guess what? I can't wait to have that conversation, as opposed to, well, we made $2 billion, but didn't really move the needle. So, you know, I'm new. In many sense, I will tell a story. The president is new and the provost is new, and it didn't quite go this way, but it kind of went this way. So we had a meeting earlier last week. It was the president, the provost, and me. And we were just sitting around the table thinking about, you know, a year ago, who would have thought? And I said, yeah, as the senior person at the table, let me tell you how this is going to go. It's going to go exactly like the president wants. You got it? And they're like, yeah, okay. So we had a laugh, right? But it's a time of extreme change. Physicists would call it a lot of X triple dot, right? Rate of change of acceleration, which actually has a word called the jerk, but I don't want to go there. But even in all this constant chaos and change and headwinds and turbulence and funding challenges and whatever, take a look back at the layers of equity that you have laid down as individuals and as communities. I mean, we have a new initiative with corporate engagement and foundation engagement and research, trying to figure out how do we engage our stakeholders optimally across all of their needs for philanthropy and for contributions to help students and also for research, right? And so we work with Louisa to do that. Yeah, hopefully you've seen the addition of Steve Ringel and Lauren Wold in ERIK to help create some greater guidance and coherency and enablement for our multidisciplinary research centers. Research Development Office, Deborah Hernandez, who's retiring, has engaged Ohio State into U.S. Space Command in new ways. I mean, these are just some small things, but if you drive through a road cut, right, we all driven on the highway and they blast it out, and you're like, wow, that hill was laid down 1 centimeter at a time. This is kind of the way I think we build research. Of course, we have the AI Fluency Initiative and the launch of the AI Power of X Hub. You know, we just, all kinds of interesting things. We're sitting here in the Innovation District, Courtney and her team, right? Pelotonia moved in late 2024. Since then, we've added Ohio Life Sciences in spring of 2025, Coloma, Tom Darrow's company, in the fall of 2025. And it's really important for our ability to pursue research like a cell, right? A cell stays alive because it exchanges energy and information with its external environment. And so this is why we have to have students and faculty and companies working together, exchanging information, maybe around the coffee pot out there, to figure out how do we destroy entropy and how do we move things forward. So Courtney, thanks to you and your team and all the work that you're doing here in the Innovation District. Soon we'll have another building. We'll tear up grass and put up buildings. I know that doesn't sound like the right environmental thing to do, but we'll still have some grass, right? And we'll get rid of parking lots, so that's good. We celebrate the 25th anniversary of our partnership with Honda. This is a signature partnership for The Ohio State University. Elisa Camella helps move that forward. We're seeing things move forward with Anduril and others. We have begun to see a lot of the fruits of previous instantiations with, CNH in agriculture is beginning to flourish now after having set in place a master research agreement in 2023. We've launched some new faculty awards in coordination with the PPAC, the Board of Trustees, and the Office of the President. And Liang Xie Fan, Distinguished University Professor, and the C. John Easton Professor in Engineering and Chemical and Biomolecular Engineering, was the first recipient of the Pierre Agostini Prize. His research focuses on creating cleaner and more efficient ways to produce energy and fuels and chemicals while taking down pollution. So this award will join our Innovators of the Year, whom we'll celebrate and announce shortly, distinguished scholars and others. And Louisa already talked about you, so you can go now. I said good things, though. It was really awesome. It was really good. They were like, wow, who's she? Well, there she is right there. She's right there. So, and I mentioned we reached $1.68 billion in research expenditures for fiscal year 2025. And I think I said at the Board of Trustees meeting, how much is that? Just peel off pictures of Ulysses S. Grant every second, $50-something a second that we spend in pursuit of new knowledge. It's a 6% growth in expenditures, and yeah, that's a sign of our vibrancy, especially in the presence of the headwinds that we have and the value that we bring to federal stakeholders, to corporate and industry stakeholders, and to philanthropic partners. And when we demonstrate that when the world invests in us, money's hard to come by, and people just don't throw it away. They just don't fritter it away. They invest it, and they expect a return. And when you see a $1.68 billion investment in Ohio State, you know that the people investing those dollars are getting the returns that they expect, and hopefully we exceed their expectations. So we're now 12th nationally among all universities in research expenditures. So we're ahead of Harvard, Duke, Yale, lots of other places. And I like it when we can say we're 12th and then there's no among, on odd-numbered Tuesdays in months that start with M on, odd number, period. And we're 6th in industry-sponsored research. And so we're going to talk about some of the awards and outcomes that have fueled discovery and impact. We received a $16.6 million award to study mental and emotional recovery from traumatic body injuries, and Carmen Quatman's here today. She's going to talk about, she's one of our featured speakers. $195 million from the National Institutes of Health for risk prediction and those who may be predisposed to taking their own lives. $3 million in NIH award to fund research in concussion and neurodegenerative disease. It's easier to do than say, probably, or maybe I need to see if I hit my head. $10 million to receive, to develop universal supply chain solutions for sustainable bioeconomies. Our 3rd NSF AI Center, called Craig Center for Research in AI Governance, to complement the Icicle and the EDGE centers. Someone asked us, well, how do we know Ohio State's good in AI? You were in this meeting. And we said, go find another university that has 3 NSF centers in AI. You can't, right? An outward sign of our inward excellence as recognized by, in this case, the National Science Foundation. So, and then nearly $9 million to Ohio State from the Ohio Federal Research Network. If you don't know what OFRN is, the state of Ohio puts money out on a recurring basis with certain requirements that come from federal requirement holders here in the state. It might be NASA, it might be AFRL, might be the Coast Guard, might be the Air Force Reserves, whatever. And they say, we want people to propose against this. It has to be multiple Ohio universities with Ohio companies with a compelling 18-month program and an exit for some kind of impact, okay? They put out about $10 million. We managed either as prime or as partners to get about $9 million of that. Now there's a challenge in that because everybody else is like, well, you guys are winning a lot. And the answer is yeah, but it's because we're good. We're also seeing gains in innovation as well. So we have climbed to 21st nationally and 30th globally in the latest US patent rankings, okay? This is a strong leap that reflects our expanding research enterprise and the ability to complete the circuit on our land-grant mission, and that is to take the new knowledge and drive it into the economy. And so Kevin and Paco and your team continue to do great work, and we will have more to come on that. We have startup examples, Coloma I mentioned, Storm Impact and others, and licensing examples that include an AI-powered app to speed up processing of counting glomeruli in donor kidneys. Somebody can explain to me what that is, but I know if I'm receiving a kidney, I want to know everything about it. And it reduces human error, accelerates transplant decision-making, and is advancing now with the support of the Ohio Supercomputer Center, which is a good example of how we can bring multiple disciplines together, in this case computational science, kidney science, transplant, cell biology, to make impacts. And so there's more. I got to run on the list, sort of be like the second Eucharistic prayer in the Catholic Church where they list every saint and you're like, please, can we just get on with it? Sorry, and for those of you that weren't scarred by a Catholic upbringing, I'll explain it to you later. But change is going to continue, okay? I mentioned Deborah Hernandez, and I don't think she's in the room here, but I personally, and I think we all owe her our thanks. She will be really hard to replace. Her skill set is super unique in understanding the federal landscape, how we can build collaborations to go after large federal research grants that are complicated. She's built a great team. Suzanne, I know you're going to do a great job as well. Are you here? Okay, I didn't make a list to see whose name tag got picked and not. So thank you to Deborah for her service. Kevin, I know you're retiring at the year end. Thank you for your leadership of our Innovation Technology Transfer Group. You came in and solved a lot of challenges and put in place a lot of strong processes and guidance, repeatability, and some things that we absolutely needed, and we are indebted to you for that. And without a strong, solid platform, it's almost impossible to grow. You can't launch Artemis if the launch pad is about to fall apart. So thank you for building that platform with the team, working with Scott and others so that we can move to the next level. We have a recent partnership with other Midwest universities to launch the Third Coast Foundry, which is our physical presence. It's about 3 blocks from where the San Francisco Giants play. So if the Cardinals or the Reds or the Guardians are going to be on the West Coast, you know I'll probably be trying to organize a meeting around that. And just on and on and on and on. So rather than me talk about it, you've been like show and tell when you were in grade school. There was the one that came and talked about the dog, and then there was the one that brought the dog, right? It's way better to bring the dog. And I look forward to the future. What I hope for all of us is that we can really, really get to know each other, both as individuals and as teams. Because we will be better if we are a better community. We can be better by being better to each other. I want us to know each other. I hope that through that knowledge, we understand how to fortify each other. We each need different things. The amount of talent in this room and not in this room is unbelievable. And yet we all need to be fortified in certain ways. And I hope that we can fortify each other. And then I also hope we can challenge each other appropriately, right? It's the challenges and the stresses that make us grow. And when we see hard problems in the world, we see opportunities to fix things, we see things that break our hearts. This is where we can put our brain power and our collaborative power to work in research to make the world a better place. So I'm looking forward to not just talking about the dog, but to seeing some of the fine examples of our research. I won't call them dogs. And to do that, I'll introduce Lauren Wold. Lauren's our Senior Associate Vice President for Research. He and Steve are helping to steward our interdisciplinary university research centers and institutes, and it's a pleasure to welcome him, a fellow hockey fan. And without further ado, direct from the Dorothy Ross Heart and Lung Center, ladies and gentlemen, Lauren Wold. All right, I gotta get out of here.
Thank you, John. I'm excited to introduce Dr. Carmen Quatman, physician and associate professor in orthopedic surgery from the College of Medicine. One of the things that really stands out for me is how Dr. Quatman builds interdisciplinary teams, connecting clinicians, engineers, data scientists, and others, and helping them learn from each other to do better, more impactful research. That collaborative approach has earned national recognition, including a recent $16 million PCORI Award. This award was made possible through the work of Dr. Quatman and her outstanding team in partnership with ERIK's corporate and foundation engagement. I'm excited to hear from her today and for her to share more about her work. Dr. Quatman.
Hi, everyone. I'm Carmen Quatman. I'm an orthopedic trauma surgeon, scientist, educator, caregiver, and patient. So I know many of the people in this room wear lots of hats. I do as well, and I often feel like my heart's being pulled in many different directions. And it never felt more real than almost 5 years ago to the day. I woke up and I was paralyzed in my left leg. I had been caregiving for my dad through the global pandemic as he passed away from glioblastoma. I was also ignoring back pain, and I had a herniated disc, and that piece of disc migrated into my spinal cord area and crushed my nerves. I didn't know if I would make a full recovery, but as you guys can see, I look like I made about 100% full recovery. But it turns out I gained a superpower that day. I also developed something called complex regional pain syndrome, and my leg basically behaves like a thermometer. Whenever I get stressed, I don't sleep, I don't eat well, I actually get severe cramping in my leg and kind of a full neurobody response. And so the clinicians that were working with me basically pulled me to the side and said, you need to work on finding leisure and self-care. And as someone who had been growing up in the surgeon world, that actually felt very foreign to me. And I think many of us think about our lifespans in terms of something like this. We spend our early years focused on education, we 30s to 60s kind of focused on work and family with a plan for leisure, and maybe if we're really lucky, a longevity bonus at the end of life. But it turns out, as my case was and many of us face, is that it turns out more like it's education health crisis. Work, family, health crisis of a family member. Chronic health issues, maybe we don't even get that leisure, and chronic issues and frailty at the end of life. So I really started to think about what that means in terms of our lifespan, and even what peak performance means for us when we're at our work lives. And we all talk about having a great lifespan, but do you really want a long life when you don't have a healthy life? That's where this idea of health span's been coming into play. And I've actually been really focused on this idea of work span because I work with a lot of geriatricians and they say you should never retire, you should just pivot. But what really matters is our day-to-day habits and what we build over time, our hydration, our nutrition, our ergonomics, sleep, readiness, recovery. But I bet most of you aren't thinking about that during your day. And as I came back from my recovery, I had an amazing medical student in the OR shadowing me. His name is Matthew Marquardt. I don't know if any of you have met him. He's a pro Ironman triathlon. He won 2 Ironmans last year, and he was the top US finisher in the World Championship. And Matthew came to the OR after doing these races, about 8 to 10 hours worth of high performance, and after about 2 hours, he looked at me, he's like, I'm about to pass out. He's like, how are you guys doing this? You're not eating, you're not, like, you're standing up for hours under the light, you don't drink any water. And I wanted to, like, turn to him and be like, hey man, you gotta learn how to buck up for the surgeon culture. And then I realized, well, that is a terrible mentee advice. And I recalled how I actually was given that advice myself. And that day kind of inspired a transition in a lot of the research I've been doing. How can we be sitting in one world in the athletic space talking about peak performance, and yet when we're working on saving lives, we forget about all of that? So we started having fun. We were taking all the technology that we use in our athletes here at Ohio State, throwing wearables, things like continuous glucose monitors, sleep monitors, heart rate variability in our surgeons. You know you have hit a demand when people are raising their hands so much I had to turn people away as subjects. They were very excited to participate. Not surprisingly, sleep loss is pretty common. We take call. We had a lot of surgeons drop into hypoglycemia, and when I showed the data to the emergency medicine department, they all gasped because that's what we treat at those levels. And even more concerning to me was we started doing some qualitative work, and we asked how many people are intentionally dehydrating themselves before surgery so that they don't have to take a break, and 46% of the people responded that they were. And many didn't know if they could do any better in terms of their work life. So we've been expanding this, and we were really grateful to receive one of the Presidential Catalyst Awards to look at first responders, military, and paramedics in our own community. We have just recently started this study. This was another study where we knew we hit peak demand because we've already turned away 100 subjects who signed up on our interest list. And we're looking at metabolic health, sleep, rest, and trying to develop that early in their careers. Because of this interest, we've gathered a bunch of people and interested to take anybody else that we're looking at diet, recovery, exercise that affect metabolism, and sleep for high-stress occupations, or the DREAMS team. If anybody's interested to come join us, we are literally just Shark Tank styling, throwing things together and taking all the expertise we can to work in this space. And I don't think it would surprise anybody that our first responders have accelerated aging. So if you talk to the law enforcement agencies, they actually have a lifespan that's 21 years less than the normal population. Firefighters and paramedics are most likely to die within the first 10 years of retirement. We have to do better. So this has led to the $16 million trial that was talked about. Nothing better than lived experience to inspire you to write a grant, right? So this trial is focused on healing and empowerment actions for recovery from orthopedic trauma specifically. This is the highest funded orthopedic trial to date. And this is really unique in that we're focusing on not just the patient, but also their care partners and the stress that they experience, and also the healthcare team and the system itself and what we can do about it. The goal of this is we're looking at wraparound coaching services for those people who are in the recovery process. And the second victim or the second trauma patient is actually the care partner. So we're really excited to launch this study. Officially, enrollment will start July 1st. So stay tuned. So if you haven't figured it out yet, I'm hoping we figure out how to do more of this in our life cycle, building more longevity and leisure all throughout so that we have that longevity and leisure at the end of life. So where do we go from here? Well, if anybody's had the chance to see the Woody Hayes Athletic Center, I think we could learn a little bit from that space. It's highly inspirational. There's fueling, there's all kinds of health systems in place for recovery. And my dream is that we actually bring that home to everybody else, all the healthcare workers, all the educators, all the people in the community that are taking care of our own Buckeyes, so that we actually get to experience some of the same amazing technology that's helping our athletes be national champions. Thank you.
That was inspiring. Thank you, Carmen. It's a pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Matthew Steinhauer. Matthew is a doctoral student in Japanese pedagogy in the College of Arts and Sciences. And of note, he is defending his dissertation later this month. Yes? Yay. Matthew is the founder of Osmosis, a startup that places users inside immersive cultural environments where language and communication are not just learned but experienced. His work reminds us that innovation doesn't just accelerate technology, it can deepen human understanding. Furthermore, his research and entrepreneurial vision exemplify the power of interdisciplinary research bridging artificial intelligence, virtual reality, and the humanities. Let's hear from Matthew.
Thanks for having me. I wasn't expecting to have to give this presentation just weeks before my defense, but there's always balance to be found. So I wanted to start off with a question. Language is simply words, right? No, of course not. It's so much more than that. For any successful communication, words aren't enough. So if words aren't enough, what is? We've seen an odd trend emerge from content farms. These are YouTube channels that design to elicit us to watch it. They specialize, and some of them specialize in what are called kissing challenge videos. What are these videos? This is where the content creator goes out in public and tries to convince strangers to kiss them on the face or mouth, or other strangers on the face or mouth for clout, but often money. Now, while I personally find this a little bit strange, going out and kissing random people, it's nonetheless a part of Western social norms. I would definitely say it's not standard behavior, but it certainly isn't impossible. I can't imagine Americans doing this. Now,
I'm going to try.
What would happen if we took this kissing challenge video and we took it to Japan, a country on the other side of the world? How would it work? Let's find out.
I'm going to try and kiss girls I've never met before using this translation device, ERIK.
この翻訳デバイス、ERIKを使って初対面の女性にキスを挑みます。
All right, let's go and do this.
How'd it go? Let's find out.
It's very normal in the UK.
イギリスでは普通のことだよ。
日本。
Hey, just one kiss. Just one kiss.
I just wanted to say, can I...
Wow, that was amazing.
It in fact wasn't amazing. This was a disaster for the company that produced this official advertisement. This was made to showcase the capabilities of their wearable translation device. What happened? Well, they faced a lot of backlash. This was 10 years ago. And the company that produced this Logbar wasn't even an American company. This isn't a story about a Western company making a whoopsie, right? This is a Japanese startup that thought that words were enough, but they're not. There's so much more to be had for any successful communication. How do we get people to recognize the more? The deeper part of communication. This is a monumental task because we're asking people to perceive the imperceivable. When we're up against monumental assumptions that language is simply words, it's not. Once coming to OSU, I had the chance to study some excellent pedagogy courses that help clarify the architecture that guides our intention, the meaning and framework that forms our intentions. These intentions come down to hows, social acts, that clarify how we move and enact change in the world. How, such as how to cut through a crowd, how to refer to yourself, how to beckon someone over. These might look strange, different than how you might do it. They get even more complex when you consider more abstract social acts, such as how to convince, how to negotiate, how to seal the deal. How do we do this? How do we get to this understanding? And what's even more complicated is that these social acts are fleeting. It's very difficult to capture these into a way that's easily learnable and transportable. How do we compartmentalize and do these social acts in a way that's replayable and educational? This is what led me to virtual reality technology. Virtual reality is a way to induce behavior from a very convincing computer-generated illusion. In essence, we can trick the body to act a certain way, react in a specific way. And from that, we can then build computer simulations to train people to react in ways that are socially acceptable. So over the past 6 years, I've spent a tremendous amount of time developing my skills in adult learning theory, of course, better understanding perform culture approach, a way of teaching language that we specialize here at the Department of East Asian Languages and Literature, as well as developing my technical skills. Because I believe in our current technological era, we need to have the autonomy to build our own tools and experiences. So for my master's thesis, I built a small prototype that allows students of Japanese to navigate an apartment and do tasks that they may do in Japan, such as cooking, bathing, and laying out slippers for when guests come over, an experience they could never have unless they went to Japan firsthand. In a way, we've brought Japan here to Ohio State. Before my dissertation, I wanted to push much farther. I wanted to train students how to interact with humans, intercultural communication, with a simple act of handing over a report. Now you may say, handing over a report, it couldn't get more basic than that. But there's all of these silent rituals that we do every single day without thinking. And one of them in Japanese culture is handing over a report with the text orientation facing the person you're handing it over to. So we built it, and we had students do it over and over and over and over again to train and prepare for these crucial office interactions that they may do once they enter the workforce and go to work in Japan. Just to give a bit of a background, language learning typically takes place in 4 modalities: text that we read or write, audio that we listen or shadow, or video that we watch or analyze. But there's a 4th modality, and that's performance. Performance typically requires an in-person experience where you interact with somebody. But in our digital era, it's becoming more difficult to find people to practice these behaviors with, these social acts with, without simply going to, in this case, Japan. So in this way, we're helping students train their ability to do culture. And culture is what I'm getting at here. Not in the hallmark sense, like Mount Rushmore, Statue of Liberty, or Mount Fuji, but in the behavioral sense. How to do things, how to participate in society. And you may be asking, well, why does this matter? I'm not going to learn Japanese. That's fine. But you are living artifacts of culture. Coming into this room, you performed culture. You greeted people. Some of you I saw even hugged each other, things that other societies might not deem as acceptable, yet we do here. If we want people to learn to participate in other societies, we too must learn how we express ourselves and how we enact culture. So there's a couple of thanks in order. I want to thank the Innovation Commercialization Office, ERIK, the Advanced Computing Center for the Arts and Designs, as well as my home department, the Department of East Asian Languages and Literature at Deal, for allowing my research to grow into what it is. I'm unbelievably thankful to have this opportunity, especially from the humanities, where this kind of innovational work doesn't occur. I'm also incredibly grateful for the Office of Commercialization for allowing me to commercialize this work and take my research out of OSU and see what we can do with it, and have the opportunity to build tools that educators, cultural coaches, as well as experts in various domains can participate and learn how to perform in another culture. So I invite you all to, whenever you do any cross-cultural work, consider not what people are doing, but how they're doing it, right? We live in a deep, connected, intersubjective, culturally relative reality, which is unbelievable. And this is where real human connection happens, where we view from each other's perspective how we see the world and do transformative work in any domain: diplomacy, international trade. This is where transformations happen, where human connections are made, and that's through culture. So, thank you.
Anyway, I'm Steve Ringel. I work in the ERIK office, as John earlier mentioned, and I'm really pleased right now to introduce our final spotlight speaker, Professor Zach Casas from College of Engineering in my home department, Electrical and Computer Engineering. Have a shout out there, Zach. Professor Casas work directly addresses a challenge we often take for granted: our dependence on GPS, over-dependence on GPS, if I might add. As awareness grows around GPS disruption, degradation, and denial, his research offers forward-looking solutions that have implications for defense, transportation, and civilian systems alike. And his research is making waves. He, along with current and former PhD students, have recently earned significant recognition for the research you're about to hear today, including receiving the Institute of Navigation Samuel Burka Award in January. And here's a teaser. We expect he and his team will be honored again in the coming weeks. His talk today comes at a critical moment as he highlights how advanced research can shape national preparedness, technological resilience. We're excited to hear his vision for what comes next. Zach?
Have you ever wondered what life without GPS would look like? It could start with some minor nuisances. You cannot find your favorite coffee shop in a new city. The Uber cannot find you. Or you don't know which exit to take on the freeway. But things could start escalating very quickly. We will have chaos at airports. We will have disarray in the sea. And emergency responders may not be able to find where their call is coming from. You may wonder, is this sci-fi? Well, things would get even worse with autonomous vehicles. Self-driving cars will start crashing into each other. Drones will start coming down on our heads from the sky. And we are now dependent on intelligent vehicles to farm our lands. Well, those will not know where they are, and they will start crashing into trees. You may wonder, why would this happen? Why would we lose GPS? The most obvious reason is war zones. So there is jamming and spoofing of GPS. One causes you to lose the signal. The other one tells you you are somewhere where you are not. And that's what happened to this poor Azerbaijan Airlines about a year ago, where it entered the wrong airspace. Someone convinced it was elsewhere, and the Russians shot it down, and lives were lost. And not too long ago, oil tankers collided in the Strait of Hormuz in the Persian Gulf during the Iran-Israel war for the same reason. And no one is safe. International conflicts, unfortunately, around the world are happening more and more. Even the chief of the European Union had to undergo emergency landing in Bulgaria because it's suspected that the Russians hit it with GPS jamming. Terrorism is another reason. It already happened in India. And of course, organized crime are starting to capitalize on it, from truck hacking to drug trafficking in the by the US-Mexico border, to even illegal fishing and sea activity in the sea. Or it could be completely unintentional. And there was a famous story where a truck driver had installed what you call a personal privacy device. It's illegal, but you can buy it online. Put it on his truck so not to let his boss know where he was going. Little he know, he was driving by Newark Liberty International Airport every morning, and he would cause disruption at the airport. The same story happened a couple years ago in Denver International Airport, which caused parts of the runways to be shut down. Now, the message I'm trying to get you to believe in today is that of hope. That airline that had fallen down could have averted that destiny if it had looked up at the stars. And those are not God-made stars, those are man-made stars. So those are the thousands of low Earth orbit satellites that we are launching into space, of course, led by no one but SpaceX's Starlink. So far, they had launched more than 10,000 satellites. The second closest is OneWeb constellation, that's a European constellation, but Amazon Leo will launch thousands. The Chinese, of course, it's a space race, so they are planning to launch tens of thousands soon. So those satellites offer us a lot of wonderful opportunity to avoid that life that I scared you about earlier on. First of all, we will have many, many satellites, so why don't we use them? In 2019, there were about 2,400 satellites in LEO. You compare that to poor GPS and its sisters. Of course, the Russians have a system that's equivalent, the Europeans have, and the Chinese have. Collectively, we call them GNSS, Global Navigation Satellite System. We have only 84 of those. By 2026, we're already at 11,000 in LEO, 125 in GNSS, and by 2029, we will get to 60,000 satellites. Think of that. Those satellites are much closer to Earth compared to GPS, so they're about 20 times closer to Earth. So we're going to get about 1,000 times stronger signal. All of GNSS satellites transmit in a small sliver of the spectrum. If you look at GNSS, they transmit at a much wider swath, from the VHF all the way to the Ka band. And finally, I'm a cheap guy. If something is free, I love it. Those signals are free. We can use them. So that's what we are trying to do with those signals. But of course, according to what I told my students, the no free lunch theorem, there is no free lunch. We have to solve some challenges, research challenges, that the first is, what the heck do they transmit? The signals are mysterious and proprietary. They don't tell us. We have to figure that out. What is their time? What's the time on the satellite? We don't know that either. We have to resolve atmospheric errors as the signal propagates through the ionosphere and the troposphere. And where are these stars? The best public knowledge is erroneous to within kilometers. That's not enough to know where you are within meters. So we'll have to solve all of that. So that brings me to my lab, the Autonomous Systems Perception, Intelligence, and Navigation. And those are my students, current and past, that have been looking at these questions over the years. And the way we think of this world is this trinity. You have three segments. The first one is the space segment. We don't worry about that. Let them launch their satellites, and we will drink their milkshake. But we will develop our own user segment. We will develop the receivers that go on boats, on planes, on cars, in your phone, and we will develop the ground segment, which will crowdsource the signals and share information with those users. So let me show you real quick how we solve the user segment and the ground segment. So first, for the signals, what do they transmit? We took inspiration from nature. This is a pulsar. It's a fast-spinning star that transmits a pulse like a lighthouse. So we developed algorithms in my lab that allowed us to treat those as beacons and decipher the signal, no matter who is transmitting what. And what you are seeing here are different beacons from different satellite providers. Now, for the second problem, we need to know the time on the satellite, and we need to know where the satellite is in space. So let's roll our sleeves and go through the math. I'm just kidding. So this is the work. This is the work of two of my superstar PhD students that have been studying this. But what I will show you is what we were able to do with this. First of all, it got lots of publicity around the world, from Science reporting it to very recently, it appeared on the main webpage of Ohio State, IEEE Spectrum. That's a very well-respected venue for technical content. Appeared on many, many magazine covers from 2019 all the way through 2026. I also presented this work on Capitol Hill, in the Pentagon, in think tanks in Washington, D.C., at the U.S. Department of Transportation headquarters, and at international conferences. But let me now show you how the world could become a better place without GPS. So I'll take you through a journey: land, air, the stratosphere, and the Arctic seas. And I'll show you how we were able to navigate with Starlink across the US and even Greenland. First, let's go to Pittsburgh, where we navigated this ground vehicle. We set up a base station in Columbus that listens to the satellites and started communicating some data to the car that's driving down the freeway in Pittsburgh. And red is what you have today if you lose GPS. You can't even see it anymore because you will be lost. Whereas in green, which follows very closely the blue is how the car is traveling, and the green is what our system is able to produce. Very, very close to how the car is traveling, completely without GPS. We went down from errors of about 650 meters down to about 8.6 meters. Remember, we don't know what the signals look like, and we don't know where the satellites are in space exactly. Now let me take you back to Columbus, Ohio. We set up our reference base station in the electroscience lab, not too far from the SHU. And then the students set up this drone last summer, and was the first time anyone had shown a drone flying with Starlink. This is in Tuttle Park, and you can see very cheap hardware is what we are using. All of the smarts really is in the algorithms that we develop. Somehow a rogue RC car decided to intrude, but it was too late. The eagle had taken off. What you are seeing in red, it's a $15,000 device that is a navigation device, but I'm showing you how that device will behave without GPS. It will not even know where the drone is. So the drone will not know where it is, whereas in green is what we are able to estimate using those Starlink satellites. Next up, we decided to go even higher. So we called this mission Icarus, after Greek mythology, who flew too high, close to the sun, but ended up melting and dying. Thankfully, that didn't happen to us, otherwise I will not be here. But we did that in New Mexico. We worked with Sandia National Labs. We put Brutus in the payload that we are going to fly this high-altitude balloon. There were 3 Buckeyes, so we did the OHIO, but the balloon was the O. Some push-ups on the runway. We were all pumped up. Took us a year to design this payload. It went to 83,000 feet. That's more than twice how high commercial airlines fly. We recovered the balloon. We had to fight with Bibo from UT Austin. We ultimately recovered. I went to UT for my PhD, so I can say that. Anyway, so we recovered the balloon, we processed the data, and that's the success story. You see in red, if you lose GPS on that balloon, whereas in green, using Starlink signals, we are able to estimate where the balloon was. And thankfully, you didn't hear about us in the news like a couple of years ago when we had these balloons flying over the US. So that's a nightmare I kept having. Finally, Greenland was in the news a lot, so we decided, why don't we go to Greenland and see, can we navigate in the Arctic, a vessel? Of course, we had to send Brutus to check it out. We asked the crew to do the OHIO for us. This is the Adventure Canada vessel that navigated in the Arctic. And the idea is, this is our collaborator who collected the signals for us, pretending, well, the world is beautiful. I have GPS, I know where I am. But GPS starts acting weird, and there are reasons why it would act weird there, if you know what I mean. So here we are gonna borrow some footage from a movie called Adrift, where they got hit by a storm. And really, this is what you will experience if you are hit by GPS interference, jamming, or spoofing. It is an electronic storm, and you will be lost in the Arctic. And of course, you don't want that fate. Thankfully, she happens to have our hardware. She takes it out. Does anyone copy? And to our surprise, pleasant surprise, I should say, Starlink and OneWeb were transmitting over the Arctic. We used their signal, and we showed if you lose GPS, that's where you will be. You will be adrift in the sea, whereas in green, that's what we can estimate. So we go down from being lost by a kilometer down to about 27 meters. I hope you will never experience this in your life. I hope you will never live a day without GPS and be in such misery. I hope your life will look more like this. You're driving down the street. You're not even looking at your car because it's driving itself. But when your car suddenly shows no GPS, you will know that that's no problem because you have Leo, and that's how the car will drive itself. But when you see this happen, that it started here in Ohio State. Thank you.
Dad joke, Zach's a guy who knows exactly where he's going. So, all right. So this has been great to see some of the examples of the amazing work that's going on across the university. And we're also here to recognize some of the university's inventors of the year. And these awards that we give out every year recognize 3 researchers, each of whom are at different points in their careers, actively working to translate university discoveries through commercialization, where their work will bring positive impacts to people. And so I'd like to ask Scott Griffin now to come up to the podium for the first announcement. Scott?
Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Scott Griffin. I'm the leader of Innovation Investment Management here at ERIK, and I'm here to present the Next Generation Innovator of the Year Award. This award is granted to an undergraduate student, a graduate student, or a postdoc to recognize innovation, entrepreneurship that contributes to the development of a new technology. We're fortunate to witness the remarkable creativity emerging from our students each and every day through their partnerships with the Keenan Center and the Center for Software Innovation and so many other groups. That's why this award is so energizing. It gives us the chance to recognize a student whose vision, drive, and ingenuity truly stands out in a community already full of extraordinary talent. I'm so pleased to announce that the 2026 Next Generation Innovation of the Year is Hannah Myers. Hannah was nominated by the College of Engineering. Before she comes up to the stage, we'd like to show a short video that highlights her amazing, innovative work.
I began research in May, working to help develop an assay that will detect different types of mold accurately and quicker than what is currently available. We have collected house dust from places all over the US, different households with different concentrations of mold. After we've collected it, we incubate it at different humidities, and then once we've waited a week, we go back and we take a look, and then we extract the RNA that's in this dust, the mold that has grown, and then we just check from there to see like what genes are very prominent, what genes should we be looking for in detecting. I have started a business called PathoTrace, where I am working on developing a easy to use test strip for germs in general, and then from there we are developing an app to like read the strip and give a user some information about what allergens are present. If you talked to me exactly a year ago and you told me I had started this biotech startup, that I was an entrepreneur, and that I was doing all this research, I would have like no idea what to do with myself, because that is just something that I never imagined for my future. Just getting involved and meeting new people and learning more about spaces I'm uncomfortable with inspired me to start this journey, inspired me to break free from my comfort zone. I would say that is what inspired me to do this research and to build my company and to build my products.
Congratulations, Hannah. Please come up to the stage to receive your award.
Good afternoon, everyone. Standing here tonight, my mind doesn't go to the work that I did last year or even last month. It goes back much further. When I was a child, I wanted to be a scientist. I didn't actually know what that meant. I didn't know about peer reviews or laboratory protocols. I just knew I was consumed by creativity. To me, the world wasn't a finished product. It was a giant, fascinating puzzle that I was allowed to touch. I built things out of whatever I could find: cardboard, tape, scraps. I asked questions constantly. I saw science as a room with an open door, a space I could simply step into and claim as my own. That curiosity never left me. It just became more focused. It evolved from wonder into a drive. And over time, that drive became my mission, taking those questions, the ones that have kept me up at night, that were scribbled in my journal before drifting into sleep, and turning them into something real, something tangible, and something that helps others. Thank you to my family, my grandma, my dad, my sister, my aunts and uncles for being my first audience. Thank you for my friends, Ellie, Paige, Ricky, and everyone who couldn't make it, for supporting me and making me laugh along the way. Thank you to the College of Engineering, especially Dr. Kelly, who I don't know if that's okay. But thank you to her. She wrote the nomination, I believe, and really helped with the process. And she's also my Systems 1 teacher, so that was super cool. Along with the Donna Miller Lab and all of my educators from elementary school to undergrad who've encouraged me along this journey. I'd also like to thank the Keenan Center for introducing me to entrepreneurship and pushing me to keep going. Also Ohio State, where I've found my community and my place. And finally, I'd like to thank all of you for celebrating the idea that we should never stop asking why. Thank you.
Well, congratulations, Hannah. It's wonderful. I'm Kevin Taylor. I'm the Chief Innovation Officer for ERIK. Our final two awards recognize faculty researchers. These researchers are actively working to advance discoveries through commercialization activity by disclosing inventions, receiving patents, licensing technologies, or forming startup companies. These activities are meaningful and positively impact people's lives, as well as support our land grant mission. I'm here today to present the Early Career Innovator of the Year Award, designed to recognize assistant and associate professors. I, along with our dedicated teams across ERIK, are proud to work with these faculty members each day to see firsthand their groundbreaking discoveries and innovative solutions. I am pleased to announce that Dr. Akshay Sood from the College of Medicine is the 2025 Early Career Innovator of the Year winner. Before he comes to the stage, let's take a look behind the scenes in his lab.
I would say my research is typically divided into two big buckets. One is surgical innovation, which I have collaborated with the CDME team in developing a novel biopsy device which helps improve patients' risk stratifications with urothelial cancer. But I also focus on translational research where we try to develop new novel biomarkers to help treat and follow up patients with prostate and bladder cancer as well. I think we are in the process of moving into the mainstream. We did receive an accelerator award which helped us develop our biopsy device from an idea to an alpha prototype, which we have tested on the bench and seems to be working well. Probably the most important inspiration was the patients. Just talking to the patients and listening to what their goals are, what their needs are, I think has helped me kind of think about what we can do to innovate and develop new technology to help them. I don't think anybody who wants to do really meaningful research can do it alone. So although I'm standing here by myself, I do want to say that I work as part of a team. I am very humbled and very honored that I was chosen for this award. I was not, to be honest, expecting this because I know there's many people of much greater talent who do really good discovery work here at OSU. So I feel really humbled by getting this award.
Congratulations, Dr. Sood. Please come up to receive your...
Hi, thank you everyone, and thank you again for this recognition. I didn't prepare a speech, but as I said in the video, I think the inspiration for all my work came from the patients that I see. I do treat patients at the James with bladder or prostate cancer, and although we have made great strides, especially I would say in the past 10 years or so, I think there's a lot of work to be done. Patients really put a lot of faith when they come to see any physician and they take your advice. I think as we have said that there's when you see the news, there's a lot of sometimes negative emotion that it generates, but I think working in the clinic, it gives me a lot of hope seeing the patients, that there is still a lot of trust. And you see people from all walks of lives and they truly trust each other, no matter I think what we see on the news. So it gives me a lot of confidence and a lot of hope sometimes just working in the field that I work in. But all I would say is that the work I've done, I couldn't have done by myself. Some of my team members are here from the clinic who are supporting me, Kara and Renata, and because of them, we are able to take good care of patients, but also I have Hamid from the tech commercialization office, who I truly trust with all the ideas that I have, who has helped me kind of go into this path of innovation, which I never would have thought I would walk. And I have my fellow here, Rajvi, who has helped me a lot throughout my last 2 years in doing these projects. And of course, there's a lot of team members who may not be here from College of Engineering, who has helped me build the device, do the biomarker discovery work that we do. And finally, I have thanked my wife, who's here, Rachel, with our newborn baby. We didn't have a babysitter, so we had to come with the baby. But yeah, I'm very thankful for all the support that I have at home to be able to do my work, whether I'm at work or at home. Thank you.
All right, Dr. Sood, congratulations, and all are welcome, okay? Please keep bringing young people, the youngest researcher in the room. So, and now for our final award, The creation of separate award categories for faculty and staff with more established research programs, that allows us to celebrate the cultivation of an entrepreneurial spirit among all of our investigators. You know, sometimes perhaps if you've been in this, doing this for 40 years or you've been doing it for 4 years, we want to recognize that people are at different stages. And I'm pleased now to announce that Ohio State's 2026 Innovator of the Year is the College of Dentistry's Dr. Louise Mirielis. And before Dr. Mirielis comes to the stage, I'd like to, again, show a video talking with him about some of his amazing research.
The research we're developing here in the College of Dentistry is focusing on high-resolution images, and these scans are extremely accurate. We are down to 20 microns in accuracy. And by processing these scans, we are able to collect data from the operatory procedure. So the surgeon will have a real-time feedback during the procedure to make some fine-tune adjustments during the procedure. And the technique is based on existing hardware. So the surgeon in the future, when they start working with this technology, they don't need to acquire new technology. This will be embedded in existing hardware in any dental practice in the US. So our goal in the next 2-3 years is to have this in the market. And receiving this award, I think it will help us to leverage the next steps. It will help us to connect with people that can help us in different directions. I think the inspiration comes from patients. You know, every time we have patients in our chair, as a dentist, you want to have the best outcome, you want to have high precision, and we always feel there's something that we can do to improve. We are where we are today because of the team from ERIK that provided a great support, the team here at the College of Dentistry that was very supportive in providing space, providing support for us to develop this technology. Once you have a good idea, it's a good start, but if you don't have hardworking people around you, it makes more difficult. So we are very lucky to have the support we have from OSU. Thank you very much. I need a few moments to say thank you. First, the team from ERIK. He helped to put idea together in a product. I'd like to say thank you to Hamid. I was hiking on a mountain 200 meters high. I got a message from him, Louis, you need to check your email because we need to address a patent lawyer. I was not expecting to check my email on December 26th, and Hamid made aware that I should check my email. Thank you for that. I'd like to thank the team from Mary at M4. Fantastic work, truly committed. We work really hard. We deliver something really fast. Thank you. The team at College of Dentistry that provided all the support, making this happen. And I'm very happy with the progress we made so far. At this point, we are already exploring opportunity to expand this technology in different fields. We are currently working with the College of Medicine to make this happen. And we are very proud of all the achievements, and a big thank you to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Louise. That's amazing. Congratulations to everyone, to the inventors of the year who are inspiring us to wonder more, as you said, never stop asking why, to inquire, to ask questions, and sometimes to ask the question, why not just why, and to discover new knowledge. So thanks to everybody for being here this afternoon. No matter what your role is here at Ohio State, number one, you're all and always a Buckeye. Second, you play an important part in the generation of new knowledge and research and innovation that helps us thrive. And for that, I thank you. And so on behalf of the entire team and ERIK, we're looking forward to what next year will bring, maybe what next week will bring, and to continue to work with you on delivering on our commitment to excellence and impact. So this concludes the formal part of the program. I will point out the informal part of the program has refreshments, so please consider staying, celebrating further the accomplishments and the amazing work that gets done by just some of the most brilliant and amazing folks in the world. So thank you so much. And with that, I'll put my name tag back on so I remember who I am. All right, thanks, everybody.